It is Sunday, Yuzayin Kislev Tofshin Ayin Tes. We are in Teres Menachem, Sefer HaMamorim, Tofshin Yud Gimel, in the Mamar of Shabbos Pasha Shlach, Tofshin Yud Gimel, on page Kuf Ayin Tes, Ois Daled, chapter 4. The Rebbe is discussing two modes in Avodas Hashem, in serving Hashem. Avodas Hashem b'medida v'hagbala, serving Hashem in a measured and limited way, and Avodah shalamayla medida v'hagbala, serving Hashem in an unmeasured and unlimited way. The Rebbe explained it at the various levels in Maisa and Dibur Machshava, Midis, Meichin, Re'usa Deliba, in action, in speech, in thought, in the emotions, in the intellect, and in the levels of the transcendent aspects of the soul, Re'usa Deliba, and how in each one of those it is necessary to serve Hashem not only with the limited, in the limited mode, but also in the unlimited mode, with the unlimited mode. Because if it's limited, then there could be what the Rebbe termed unikas achitzonim. It could be, the energy could potentially be invested in things that are not holy, the opposite of kedusha. Here the Rebbe goes along the same theme and explains how this is in Sfiris. Up until now he explained this in Avodas Adam, how it is within man. Now he's going to explain these two aspects as they are in Sfiris, in the divine attributes. I think we need to, before we start, we need a few prefaces, if you will. First of all, we know, because we learned about it here in this Maimed and generally in Chassidus, there is the idea of Kedusha and Klippa, right? There's holiness, and then there is the counterforce to holiness, which is known as Klippa, the shell. Klippa draws its energy from Kedusha. That's the idea of sin, iniquities. They add they add chayis in Klippa, they add energy to Klippa, to the other side of Kedusha. Now there are different levels in Kedusha, and it is only in certain levels, or up to a certain level, from which Klippa can draw. In other words, from where there could be a yenika, a seepage, as it were, to the other side of Kedusha. We learned about it before in terms of Nefesh HaOdam, and how it is in man's soul. We learned at the very tail end of the previous chapter about Bavua and Bavua di Bavua. The shadow and the shadow of the shadow, right? Meaning to say that when we talk about the internal aspects of the soul, over there could be a nikkel chitzenim. Over there could be a counterforce and a seepage to the other side of Kedusha. When we talk about the makifim, the transcendent aspects of the soul, the other side of Kedusha can only go so far as chaya, the first level of the transcendent aspects of the soul, but not as high as yichida, which the Rebbe termed earlier the makif la makif, the transcendent of the transcendent, or to use the terminology of the Talmud, which Kabbalah explains as meaning the same thing, bavua de bavua. A shed, a demon, or the opposite of Kedusha, has bavua, a shadow, but doesn't have bavua de bavua, a shadow of a shadow. Meaning to say, the shadow is like the external, or in this sense, the transcendent aspect of the person. So for bavua, the first shadow, as we explained at the end of last week, over there, the chitzenim, the opposite of kedusha, also have that level. So it's a counterforce, and therefore the klipa could derive energy even at that level. Bavur, Dibavur, the highest one, it does not. So the general idea is, in summary, that Klippa, the opposite of Kedusha, can only rise that high. And by definition, it means that only up to a certain point in Kedusha itself is there the possibility for a seepage outside of the domain of Kedusha. At a higher level, there is not.
Could I just ask a question on that? Since we know that Bria, Yetzira, and Asiya, they correspond to the three lower levels, right? So when we go to that fourth level, since Atzilus is already all Kedusha, where does the fourth level?
So here, that's what I was discussing here. Okay? And one of the prefaces that I want to give is that there is precisely the point that you're making. There's a pasuk that says, in Tehillim it says, Loi yigur chara. Right? That together with Hashem, Ra, evil, cannot dwell. In Chassidus and Kabbalah, in Chassidus generally, this is a reference to Atzilus. That Klippa begins from the level of Bria and down.
Yeah.
Generally, what is said in Chassidus is that Atzilus is Kulei Tov, it's all good, all holy. Bria is Rubei Tov, mostly Tov, mostly Kedusha, and a little bit of Ra, Klippa. Yetzira is Mechza al Mechza, half and half good and half the other side. And Asiya is Rubei Ra, and just a little bit of Tov, so the balance changes, right? That is the general way in which it is explained in Chassidus. Although, and again, this is not going to be exhaustive on the subject, because it's such a vast subject, and I'm not clear in it, so I can't really give you a conclusive summary of what we're talking about, just to highlight the different points and to see how what the Rebbe is saying in this particular Maimer on the subject. Okay, we have to study the various places in Chassidus. You know, there's all sorts of discussions about it and so on and so forth. You know, these are very subtle and fine aspects of Kabbalah. You know, I think I mentioned in a previous year that the Rebbe Rashab, the fifth Lubavitcher Rebbe, when he established Ten Chetmimim, the yeshiva, the Lubavitcher yeshiva, many years ago, and with the proviso that unlike other yeshivas, in Ten Chetmimim we should learn Chassidus just like, as a subject. It wasn't accepted until then to learn Chassidus as a subject in a yeshiva in a formal setting.
Right? Not accepted outside of Kabbalah.
Okay. Well, it's in some yeshivas it's already becoming more. It's less unaccepted than it was. So it is said that the Rebbe Rashab apologized to the Seder Hishtalshalos, to the chain order of creation. Why? Because the Talmidim are going to learn Chassidus, and inevitably, since they're not experts, they'll get things confused, so they'll mix up the different levels. So you see, I apologized, you know, they may get things wrong, so to speak, but never mind. It's a price worth paying, and it's a necessary exercise because of the benefits that it derives, and of course, the proof is in the pudding, as it were, to see as we can see what Chassidus accomplishes and how the impact that it has, and so on. So that apology extends also, I guess, to our shiurim. So I'm going to say, you know, to the best of my ability, speak on the subject, and then hopefully we'll be able to go through, because it's a bit of a complicated ois, a bit of a complicated chapter. It gets very technical and kabbalistic. So this is the idea. Toiv, Atzilus is Kuli Toiv, Bria Rubi Toiv, Yetzira Mechza al Mechza, and Yetzira Rubi Ra. Right? Totally Kedusha, mostly Kedusha, half and half, and then mostly the opposite of Kedusha, and then only a little bit of Kedusha. Atzilus Bria Yetzira Asiya. So generally, the point is that insofar as Atzilus is concerned, there is no Klippa in Atzilus. It's Kuli Toiv. However, the Alter Rebbe says clearly in a Maimer that there is a Klippa that corresponds to Atzilus, but it's not in Atzilus, it's in Bria. The place of that klipa is in Bria. Which probably means, to a certain extent, the way I would understand it is, that you have Bria, Elam Bria, the world of creation, which is the first realm after Atzilus, right? Then you have, as Atzilus vests itself in Bria.
Yeah, I was going to say
The slapshot of Atzilus in Bria. So when Atzilus clothes itself in Bria, that klipa could rise up and be a counterforce to Atzilus. But in Atzilus itself, no. Point one. Point two.
in Arikampi.
Oh, 1 second. Point two. The Rebbe is going to go through these levels now. Point two. We have 4 realms, Atzilus, Bria, Yetzirah, Asiyah. But there are also the spheres, which are divided into 4. Chochma, Bina, Zoh, and Malchus. In fact, we know from, as we learned in previous Shiurim, these spheres are in Atzilus, these divine attributes are in Atzilus, but there are the spheres of Atzilus as they correspond to the various realms. So meaning to say, in Atzilus, the dominant sphere is Chochma of Atzilus. In Bria, the dominant sphere of Bria is Bina of Atzilus. In Yetzirah, the dominant spheres of Atzilus is Zoh, the 6 midas, Zeir Ampin.
In Yitzirah.
In Yetzirah, what did I say?
Yitzirah.
Yetzirah. And in Asiyah, it's Malchus of Atzilus. Right? So the point being, and again, another point, these 4 realms and these 4 categorizations of the spheres correspond to the 4 letters of Yud Kei Vav Kei, of Hashem's name. Yud is Chachma, Hey is Bina, Vav is the 6 midas, and Hey is Malchus. Furthermore, in the name of Yud Kei Vav Kei, there are 4 Tzirufei Shem Havai, 4 ways of 4 different ways of
recording the name.
Of recording the name. Shem Ab, Shem Sag, Shem Ma, and Shem Ban. The name Yud Kei Vav Kei as it equals 72. The name Yud Kei Vav Kei as it equals 63. The name Yud Kei Vav Kei as it equals 45. And the name Yud Kei Vav Kei as it equals 52. What's Yud Kei Vav Kei? Shem Ab, 72. When you spell out Yud Kei Vav Kei, not just the letters, but b'miluam, with all the letters that spell each of the letters. So Yud, for example, is spelled Yud Vav Dalet. Yud Vav Dalet, Yud is 10, Vav is 6, Dalet is 4, is 20. So when you say Shem Ab, it's b'milu Yudin. It's spelled with all the Yuds. So the Yud is spelled Yud Vav Dalet, which is 20. The Hey is spelled Hey Yud, which is 15. So that's 35. The Vav is spelled Vav Yud Vav, which is 12 and 10 is 22. So 35 and 22 is 57. And the last Hey is also spelled Hey Yud, which is 15. So 57 plus 15 is
57 plus 15
is 72. So that's Shem Ab. Shem Ab is Yud Kei Vav Kei b'milui Yudim. Each letter has a Yud in it. Shem Sag. Then Hashem's name Yud Kei Vav Kei as it's spelled to equal 63 is also b'milui Yudim, but not with one difference. Whereas Shem Ab is spelled b'milui Yudim, each one has a Yud. Yud has a Yud. The Hey has a Yud. The Vav has a Yud. Vav Yud Vav, and the final Hey has a Yud. Also Hey Yud. Shem Sag is also spelled Yud, Yud Vav Dalet. The Hey is spelled Hey Yud. The Vav is spelled Vav Aleph Vav, not Vav Yud Vav. And the final Hey is spelled Hey Yud. So again you have Yud would equal 20, Hey would equal 15, so that's 35. Vav would equal 13, which is 48. And the final Hey is 15, Hey Yud. 48 plus 15 is 63. That's Sag. Ma, Shem Ma, is spelled B'mili alfin, I believe it is. Yeah. So the mili is with the aleph. So the yud is yud vav yud. The hey is hey aleph. The vav is vav aleph vav, and the final hey is also hey aleph. This you should know from Pasuk Eliyahu that we say on Erev Shabbos before Mincha, because then yud came off. It says with the shem ma, because it says mil alpha. So yud is 20. Yud vav daled is 20. Hey is 6, is 21. Vav is 13, is 34, is
4. 34.
again 20, 31. Vav is 12, is 13.
44.
It's 44. No, it's 40. No, come on.
31.
Yud vav daled is 20. Hey aleph is 6.
Yeah.
Is 26. Vav is 13, is 36, is 39.
Yeah.
And the final hey is spelled hey aleph is 6, is 45. That's Shema. What's ban? 52. Right? That is spelled b'mili heyin. So the yud is yud vav dalet, the hey is hey hey, the vav is vav vav, and the hey is hey hey. So yud is 20,
20.
hey is 10, is 30,
30.
vav vav is 12, is 42, plus another hey hey is 10, is 52. So that's Shem Ban. Just as an interesting, and again, these four tzirufim also in a similar way correspond to the
For the rebels.
content, in content at least, to the four levels of these Chochma, Bina, Midas, and Malchus, but not as they are in Atzilus. It's more in a greater. It's in a more general or higher level. So Shem Ab would correspond to Olam Hanakudim, which would be the realm before Toyu. Shem Sag would correspond to Olam Hanakudim, which is Toyu, world of chaos. Shem Ma is Atzilus, and Shem Ban is Bia. Right? In content, it would be similar to the idea of
It's terminology.
correct.
Each term has a
It's a similar paradigm,
mystical-
similar type of paradigm.
yeah.
Another point is that Shem Ab is connected with Shem Ma. Shem Sag is connected with Shem Ban. Shem Ma, the numerical value of Ma, is 45. It's the same numerical value as the word Odom. Aleph Daled Mem equals 45. Shem Ban is 52. It's the same numerical value as Behema. Right? Shem Ab is called Odom HaGodel, the great man, the big man. Shem Ma is the small man. Shem Ban is Behema, the small Behema, the small beast, as it were, the small animal. Shem Sag is Behema Rabbah, the level of the great beast. So in other words, the sense that you get again is that Ma Odom is connected to the Meichin, particularly Chochma, or the Zochar, the Mashpia, as it were, the Odom, the giver. Just like so in Sfiris that would be Zo, which is Mashpia to Malchus, which is Ban, the Makabel. On a higher level, you would have Shem Ab and Shem Sag, which would be like Chochma and like Bina. But again, I'm talking about similar paradigms.
It's just
You follow?
layering them side by side.
Just as an interesting aside, since we're already on the subject, why, if you notice, in the four Shemis, in the four names, Shem Ab, Shem Sag, Shem Ma, and Shem Ban, in the first three, the larger number letter is before the smaller number letter. So Ab is 72, so Ayin is 70, and the base is 2. Sag is, the Samach is 60, and the Gimel is 3. Ma, the Mem is 40, and the Hey is 5. Ban, you say 2 and 50. Why? Why the change? Why not Nab?
No.
Like if you're following along the same thing, it should be Nab. So this is a very, very interesting word. This is from the Megala Amukis. We know that there are 4 letters in the Aleph base, in the Hebrew alphabet, that have an end letter, Man Tzapach, Mem Sofit, end Mem. Nun Sofit. Tzadik Sofit. I'm sorry, Pei Sofit, and Tzadik Sofit. Only these 4 letters.
5.
Man, Mem, Nun, Tzadik, Pei, Chof. Yeah, 5, I'm sorry. The 5 letters of Man Tzapach. What's the meaning of these 5 letters? Do they have any special meaning? If, in other words, if we go with the gematria, right? The numerical value of letters. What's the numerical value of the end of Mem Sofit? Is it the same as the Mem?
No.
Says the Megala Mukis, no. He says, if you finish the alphabet, the letter Tov is 400. The end of Mem Sofit will be 500.
No, like if the mem is 400.
If Tov is 400, Kufre Shin Tov, the end of Mem.
Sorry.
The end of him.
Yeah.
So you finish the letters. What's the letter Tov? The numerical value of the letter Tov is what?
Yeah. Sorry.
Is 400. So the end, the Chof, the Mem Sofit, the Chof Sofit, which is the first of the letters that has an end letter, would be 500. The Mem Sofit, which is the next one, is 600. The Nun Sofit is 700. The Pei Sofit is 800. The Tzadik Sofit is 900. Then you go back to Aleph, which spells Elef, which is 1,000, and you carry on. Okay? So this is what he says, and he quotes this. The Tzemach Tzedek quotes this. Yeshno Medrash Pli'a. There's a Medrash Pli'a. A Medrash, which is a Medrash, which you look at it, it seems, illegible and not understandable.
David Bloomstone.
Sorry?
David Bloomstone.
It says like this. Rabbi Lezer asked Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi a question. He says, what is Hashem's name? Mashmei shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi answered him, Rachamono liba boi, which in simple terms means Hashem desires the heart. Then he asked him, Mipnei ma kulam hamisfar hagod lefnei hakoten. Then he said like this. Sorry. So he asked him, what's the name of Hashem? He said, Rachamono liba boi, Hashem desires the heart. Then he asked him, why are they all keseder and one is not keseder? Why are they all in order and one is not in order? So Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi answered him, because the seal, the signet, the seal of Hashem is emes, is the truth. It's true. It has, what's the meaning? So the Tzemach Tzedek explains this. What was the question? His question is, what's Hashem's name? So he answered him, Rachamona liba boy, Hashem desires the heart. The Rosh Tevis, the acronym, the first letters of the words Rachamona liba boy spells Reish Lamed Beis. The numerical value of Reish Lamed Beis is 232. If you add up the 4 names of Ab, Sag, Ma, and Ban, it'll equal 232. So that was his answer. That's Hashem's name. Ab, Sag, Ma, and Ban. So then he asked him, why are they all in order and one is not in order? This is the question we just asked. Why is Ab, Ayin, Beis 72, 63, 45, and then you say 2 and 50? All of them are in order besides one. So he says, because Hashem's name, because the seal of Hashem is emes. The word emes, the numerical value of emes, b'mispar kotten, in the small number, is how much? So in other words, you take each one as a unit. Aleph is 1, Mem is 40 is 4, that's how much is 5. Tov is another what? 400 again, b'mispar kotten is 4, equals what? 9. He says if you take every one of Hashem's names of Ab, Sag, Ma, and Ban, Ab, Sag, and Ma will equal 9. Ayin Beis, 7 and 2 is how much? 9. Sag, 6 and 3, 9. Ma, 4 and 5, 9. But Nun Beis, Nun is 5, would be 5 with Mismakot, a small number, and Beis would be 2, is 7. But if you flip it around and you make it Ban, so it becomes an end in nun, the second letter. How much is an end in nun we just said? 700.
Yeah.
So b'misper cotton it's 7, so it equals 9.
It's also the only number.
You got it? We got a little carried away with this, but I thought it was too interesting to pass up.
Ah, it's amazing. What's
It's
amazing?
also also a number that come back to itself all the time.
Huh?
It's also the only number, 9,
Yeah, always
come back to itself all the time. 9, 9.
It goes
9
even
times
further.
2, 18.
Right.
1/8, yeah.
3, 9.
Precisely, that's
All
emes.
9. It's come back to itself.
He goes even further. If you want to hear some more, I know it's already late now.
Well, there's only 3 of us anyway.
Okay, so let me carry on. Let me tell you some more interesting stuff from the Galamukas. He says like this.
Huh.
If you take a look at the letters Mansapach, right? These letters that have the Sofit letters.
The only one
So a mem
is too much.
is made up of 2 letters, a chof and a vov. In the Torah, when you write the Sefer Torah, you write a chof, then a vov, and you connect with a little connector. What's the numerical value of vov? 26.
Never got.
That's the name of God. Nun is one straight line, it's 50. The tzaddik is a yud and a nun. You have small yud connected to a nun. Right? What's the numerical value of it? Of that?
So, nun and
It would be 60. Yud nun is 60.
60.
The fei is a chof and a little upside down yud. So that's 30. 20 and 30. And then you have the chof, which is 20. Now add them up. 26 plus 50 is how much?
20 and 57.
Is 76. 26 and 50.
Ah, sorry, 26, yeah.
76 plus 60 is 136.
Yeah.
Plus 30,
And then
56. Is 66, I'm sorry.
6,
Plus 20,
180.
186. The numerical value of 186 is the word makom. Makom is 186. Yud ke vav ke. If you take yud times yud, 10 times 10, and hey times hey, 5 times 5, vav times vav, 6 times 6, and hey times hey, you'll get 186 makom. That's why I said Baruch HaMakom. That's why Hashem is called Makom, because it's Yud Ke Vav Ke squared. So anyway, we can go on and on and on. It's absolutely fascinating.
I bet you by the Torah, before he started to translate the Torah, he had the degree in
This is from the Megala. This is from the Megala Mokot.
Everything is like numeric value.
This is from the Megala Mokot, but they didn't have a degree in math. They saw the things as they are
No,
lamala.
I'm just joking.
You know, we sit there and try to figure out how much is it. You know, he saw it. He saw the way it is. Anyway, we'll get into the Maimon. Please God tomorrow in the next
Main
days.
thing you learn from all this is that any single pasuk and any single midrash
It's a whole world.
has come from such minds. You know, you look at this, David Bloom used to say, that's such a silly story, you know?
It's Takel Bereisa Bora Alma. Hashem looked into the Torah and created the world. You have these little tiny glimpses in sort of